Well, it's Sunday, the 31st of January, 2021, and there are lots of things I could talk about today. The fire, the arson that took place at the Napier Barracks, the old army base near Folkestone. I visited there 6 months ago, thought it was wholly inappropriate to put people who just crossed the channel in there. Equally, we could almost have a laugh, couldn't we, about Ursula von der Leyen, clearly promoted way beyond her abilities, trying on Friday night to impose a hard border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, although she U-turned fairly quickly over it. But I'd much rather, particularly given it's a Sunday, reflect on what happened just a year ago today. And I think because of COVID, because of 100,000 deaths, because of the misery so many people have been through, we've sort of forgotten a little bit just how significant the 31st of January 2020 was. It was a massive historic day, a complete change in the direction of our country. I don't know in the preceding 27 years just how many times I'd said the best people to govern Britain are the British people themselves, but it was thousands and thousands. And I think with what's played out already over vaccines, we're seeing the truth of that. A useless, bureaucratic European Commission, somebody in charge of health that hasn't been elected, that can't be removed. They've acted slowly. They've got things wrong. Now they're lashing out. So we actually, on vaccines, are proving already that Brexit was the right thing to do. And lots of people who were Remainers now saying, do you know what? I get it. It was the right thing. So let's just reflect for a moment on what happened a year ago and, more importantly, why it happened. For me, well, I'd been in the European Parliament for getting on 21 years, and this was my last speech that I was ever going to give in Brussels, and I thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it.
No more being talked down to. No more being bullied. No more Guy Verhofstadt. I mean, what's not to like? I know you're going to miss us. I know you want to ban our national flags, but we're going to wave you goodbye. And we'll look forward in the future to working with you as sovereign.
If you disobey the rules, you get cut off. Could we please remove the flags? Mr. Farage, could we remove the flags, please?
That's it. It's all over. Finished. We've gone.
Could I please ask for quiet?
That was the only time in nearly 21 years that my microphone was cut off. I thought it was an incredibly small-minded gesture on behalf of Miss McGuinness, but then there's nothing surprising particularly in that. Well, with that done and a few press interviews, I headed off to catch the last Eurostar of the day.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
And yeah, quite a mass of photographers from all over Europe. One or two members of the public saying good riddance, others saying we'll miss you. I have to say, I haven't missed the place at all. I certainly haven't missed the monthly journey to Strasbourg and back, although I have to say, given what a complete horlicks the European Commission have made of the vaccine row, there's something in me wouldn't have minded being in the next debate in Strasbourg in front of Miss von der Leyen. But hey, we're gone, we've left. And the 31st itself, now that was a very interesting day because the government themselves didn't want to celebrate. Boris Johnson stayed inside number 10 and sort of banged a gong when the note of 11 o'clock came along. And that, of course, is because the Conservative Party was a Remain party in the referendum. It had always been a Remain party. And I think really this was about party unity, not wanting then to upset those who still basically had not wanted Brexit to happen. And of course, remember that Boris Johnson himself, when it came to the referendum, only at the last minute, having written 2 articles for the Telegraph, one why we should stay, one why we should leave. Only then did he join the Leave campaign. And I'm very pleased that he did and that Michael Gove did. But we got to where we got to. We got to the tens of thousands of us being in Parliament Square, celebrating that night. For me, it was a big personal moment. As I say, 27 years of my life fighting for this. Some people said I was obsessive. Others said I was a fanatic. I think I'm probably guilty on both counts. I really believed that getting out of the European Union was the way to secure for us a much better future. And I didn't trust the mainstream parties to do it. Frankly, they never would have done. But the real reason we were gathered in Parliament Square, celebrating as we were, as that moment came for us to leave the European Union, is that this was the biggest historic change of direction this country has taken in many, many decades, arguably in centuries. And I'll tell you why it happened. It happened because from the early 1990s onwards, thousands of you, thousands and thousands of you, put yourselves forward to stand as candidates, went out, delivered leaflets, knocked on doors, stood on street stalls, gave money, whether it was a tenner or whether it was a larger sum, it didn't matter. This was a collective grassroots effort. And when we started, everybody was against us. Absolutely everybody was against us. No single national newspaper in the early days supported leaving. All the parties were in favour of remaining. The TUC were in favour of remaining. The CBI, of course, were in favour of remaining. We literally had everybody against us. We had no public figure of any note on our side of the campaign when this thing first started. And yet we kept on going year after year after year. The history books will write that Brexit happened because a grassroots rebellion actually succeeded. So take a minute today to reflect on what we managed to achieve. Take a minute to reflect on the fact that despite all the flaws in our system, in the end, the will of the people did prevail. We've been through years since that referendum of the establishment doing their best to thwart it, something that I think will be seen in time to come as one of the most disgusting anti-democratic efforts ever seen in the history of our nation. But have a look at these scenes in Parliament Square. Think of a year ago today. Think of what we achieved. Be proud that despite the fact the deal may not be perfect and there's more work to be done, and we've seen that in the last few days, but be proud of the fact that we got our independence back, not because of our political leaders, but because of you, ordinary folk in Britain who were prepared to stand up. I salute you. It's a day to reflect on that fantastic achievement.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.